Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's Tuesday, September 22nd, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-kyun. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. In a virtual UN meeting of 5 mid-level powers, President Moon Jae-in calls for multilateral cooperation on COVID-19, stressing the need for fair access to vaccines and treatment. South Korean health authorities temporarily halt the nation's free flu vaccine program, citing problems in the distribution process. And health authorities worldwide are on alert as a second wave of COVID-19 grips Europe and the U.S. We start with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The country reported 61 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday, seeing the number of daily infections gradually drop and staying below 100 for the third straight day. Health authorities, however, say it's still too early to relax restrictions as cluster infections within companies and the elderly continue. Of the newly confirmed cases, 51 were locally transmitted and 10 were from overseas, bringing the total number of cases to over 23,000. 3 more people have died from the virus, bringing the death toll to 388. The South Korean government was keen on providing free flu shots to the public to head off possible COVID-19 complications. However, it has temporarily put that plan on ice, citing problems in distribution. Our Kim Hyo-sun reports.
South Korean health authorities are calling for a temporary halt to the free influenza vaccination program, citing problems in the distribution of the seasonal vaccine doses. Those are the free vaccines targeted for the country's teenagers, aged 13 and 18, who were initially subject to free immunization starting Tuesday. The Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency has immediately put a halt on the supply of flu shots, explaining that the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety will test their safety before they are redistributed. The KDCA highlights all this is because it prioritizes safety. It added the flu shots that were already distributed earlier this month for children under the age of 9 are deemed safe. Health authorities have been keen on providing free flu shots to some 19 million people as they aim to prevent a so-called twindemic. Those include children aged between 6 months to 18 years, pregnant women, and those aged 62 years and above, which account for some 37% of the country's population. The KDCA and the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety are set to brief the public soon on their decision to temporarily halt the free flu shot program. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
Now, over at the parliament, South Korean lawmakers will hold a plenary session in the coming hours to vote on this year's 4th supplementary budget. This one is worth some $6.5 billion and has been drawn up to help citizens amid the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the session could be delayed as the parties are split on certain details. The ruling Democratic Party insists a $17 mobile phone bill payment to be given to all citizens over the age of 13. The main opposition People Power Party says more support should be provided to certain taxi drivers and a care program for middle school students. President Moon Jae-in has taken part in a virtual UN meeting where he spoke on behalf of MICTA, a middle power partnership which also includes Mexico, Indonesia, Turkey, and Australia. The South Korean leader called for multilateral cooperation on COVID-19, stressing the need for fair access to vaccines and treatment. Our Blue House correspondent, Kim Min-ji, reports.
Solidarity and cooperation is the most potent weapon to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to President Moon Jae-in via video statement as leader of the country chairing MICTA, a middle power partnership bringing together Mexico, Indonesia, South Korea, Turkey, and Australia during a high-level meeting to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the UN on Monday. To that end, Moon proposed the need for fair access to vaccines and treatment.
백신 치료제의 공평한 접근권을 보장해야 합니다. 국제 모금을 통해 국제기구가 충분한 양의 백신을 선구매하여 개도국도 그 혜택을 받을 수 있게 해야 합니다.
Moon said this hall, which is home to the headquarters of the International Vaccine Institute, will support various activities aimed at developing and distributing affordable vaccines for developing countries. The South Korean leader also stressed the need to restore multilateralism to international order for economic recovery, reiterating his call to allow essential cross-border travel for business people. In addition, he called on the international community to participate in the Global Green New Deal, which seeks to address the climate crisis while also creating jobs. Moon also welcomed the adoption of the declaration on the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of the UN.
유엔을 중심으로 코로나 위기 극복을 비롯해 기후변화 대응, 국제 평화와 안전 유지, 불평등 해소와 같은 인류 앞에 놓인 도전에 쉼없이 맞서 나갈 것입니다.
Moon added the MICTA as a cross-regional and innovative partnership will also play a leading role in facilitating recovery in a way that reduces disparity and realizes an inclusive community which leaves no one behind. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
As world leaders met virtually to mark the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said on Monday that a third world war has been avoided because of international cooperation.
A third world war, which so many had feared, has been avoided. Never in modern history have we gone so many years without a military confrontation between the major powers.
Following the statement, the UN leader said member nations can be proud of the great achievement, adding that they should all strive to preserve it. In a virtual meeting, he also pointed out the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed fragilities and that the world will need to face challenges together. Health authorities in Europe are tightening measures as a second wave of COVID-19 looks set to grip the continent. The U.S., which seemed to have been making progress in tackling the virus, is again seeing infections spreading fast. Our Kim Jae-hee has this wrap-up.
Western European countries are scrambling to curb the much-feared second wave of COVID-19. Spain, the country with the highest number of cases in Europe, is seeing cases surge in its capital, Madrid, which accounts for roughly one-third of the country's cases. Spain's health ministry warned on Monday that authorities might need to impose a broader lockdown in Madrid. Some areas of the city are already under partial lockdown. Madrid's regional government chief on Monday even requested the army's help to contain the outbreak. France, which has the second highest number of cases in Europe, reported 13,498 new cases on Saturday, the most cases in a single day since the pandemic began. The UK is seeing the number of new cases roughly double every 7 days. The country's chief medical officer has warned that the country could see 50,000 daily cases next month if it fails to flatten the curve.
And you can see that by mid-October, if that continued, you would end up with something like 50,000 cases in the middle of October per day.
Germany reported 2,297 new cases on Saturday, the highest daily number since April. Munich's mayor on Monday announced tighter restrictions in the city, saying that people have to wear masks at all times when in crowded public places.
In places where we have just seen crowds of people without masks at the weekend, a general obligation to wear a mask may apply from Thursday onwards.
While the U.S. seemed to have been making progress since August, the weekly number of new cases in the U.S. rose last week for the first time after falling for 8 straight weeks. According to Reuters, new virus cases rose 17% for the week ending September 20th, and deaths rose 5.5%. Health experts are attributing the rise to schools reopening and contact during the Labor Day holiday. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
The head of the European Central Bank says economic recovery is dependent on containing the COVID-19 outbreak. In a joint meeting with France and Germany on Monday, ECB President Christine Lagarde said the strength of the recovery remains very uncertain, hinging on both the progress of the pandemic as well as the success of containment policies. She stated that developments in both exchange and inflation rates should be carefully assessed due to uncertainty surrounding the pandemic, adding the organization is paying very close attention to the strengthening of the euro. The International Atomic Energy Agency says it's still implementing safeguards to prevent misuse of nuclear material throughout the world, even amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at the agency's annual general conference Monday, the IAEA's Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi stressed the ongoing surveillance of North Korea and its nuclear weapons development, adding that activities in the regime remain a cause for serious concern. He said the IAEA is ready to play an essential role in verifying the North's nuclear program while calling on the regime to comply fully with its obligations under UN Security Council resolutions. After a decades-long dispute over the naming of the East Sea between South Korea and Japan, the International Hydrographic Organization has come up with a new numerical system to possibly help resolve the issue. Our Choi Won-jung with these details.
A long-running dispute over the naming of the East Sea between South Korea and Japan is expected to be concluded after a decision from the World Organization. According to the International Hydrographic Organization on Monday, the IHO chief will give a briefing on whether or not global sea areas will be referred to by numbers instead of specific names. Seoul used the East Sea rather than the Sea of Japan to identify the stretch of water between two countries as a result of Tokyo's colonial history, particularly on the Korean peninsula. With both nations failing to reach a consensus on the issue up to now, the IHO Secretary General proposed a new data set called a system of unique numerical identifiers, saying that the system is more appropriate in the digital era. So far, most member nations, including South Korea, the U.S., Canada, and Sweden, agree with the proposal. The Japanese government, however, has not made a decision yet, adding that they are prepared to work cooperatively and constructively.
Because all members recognize that there's a problem from naming it as Sea of Japan, I think we need to persuade them based on private cartographers and internet portals.
The final decision on the proposal will be made at the upcoming General Assembly in November, affecting the more than 20-year dispute and potentially getting a little closer to a conclusion. Choi Won-jung, Arirang News.
Good morning. Today marks the fall equinox, meaning the day and night are equal in length and the autumn is officially here. So we'll notice the chillier and drier and crispier leaves. For today though, the weather pattern will be similar to yesterday, wide temperature gaps under plenty of autumn sunshine. So top readings will be slightly lower than the same time yesterday though, ranging from 23 to 25 degrees Celsius in most parts of the country. Then rain is forecast for the East Coast and Jeju tomorrow, which will linger into Thursday. Then Gangwon-do province will see rain at the end of the week, while inner regions will stay dry through Sunday. In fact, the weather agency is looking at sunny and calm weather in the capital region into next week's Chuseok holiday. But do notice much chillier conditions just in time for Chuseok. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
That's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
wearing a face mask on your way to work, thoroughly washing your hands, having your mask on in indoor public spaces, keeping your distance when ordering coffee to go, avoiding social gatherings to head home early. Your small efforts make up the way to recovery. Overcoming COVID-19 together. Let's all stick to the basics. 2020 Overseas TV Audience Survey. We would like to hear from our global viewers in order to provide a better service. Please visit our website www.arirang.com and give us your feedback between September 14th and October 4th. We'll be giving away K-pop CDs and merchandise to randomly selected participants. We look forward to hearing from you.